Welcome
Mhm.
to Awakenings, Addictions and Entrapments. Today we're going to be talking about the shame and certain things around addictions, certain entrapments and possible ways forward and things to consider in trying to overcome certain burdens within. So I hope you enjoy.
I went through a patch where I drank a bit when I was 17, 18, I guess 16, 17, 18, playing football and stuff, but
Yeah.
it wasn't all the time, but we'd have one night a week, go and have a few drinks.
Mm.
Because they'd say, "Oh, it was a great night last night," and, so, well, was it? Like, I can't remember everything.
Mm.
And I feel like crap now.
Mm.
And then sometimes it affect me for the whole day. And it's weird.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't seem to so much. I went away, like for the schoolies. I drank 4 or 5 nights straight, which I've never done it before. That was schoolies.
Mm.
And I didn't have a hangover and felt good the whole way. It's real weird.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
you could almost think that I was being shown not to drink too much anyway, because it affect me. But
Mm.
sometimes, so if the circumstances around me were different, it wouldn't affect me so much. But if it's like
Yeah.
getting into a pattern or routine, there are ramifications, even before I could even get into a routine or pattern to drink all the time or often.
Mhm.
So, and then it impact my football, and I started to play more representative football. So I don't, after half time, like the second half, I just exhausted. So it's weird. It's like I was geared up or like shown or like able to experience some things, but it wouldn't be a smooth ride into that routine, that pattern.
It's interesting with alcohol because, I drank a bit when I was in my early 20s, but alcohol wasn't something that I really enjoyed. And it's interesting as I got older, I don't know, it didn't gel with me. I just didn't like the way it made me feel. And I think there was a period of time I actually went in a different direction completely.
Click, hangs up now. That's it.
That's it. No more.
That's
So
it.
I did. That was probably the only time I could really delve into topics with other people because those people were finally on the same level with me, and we'd sit there and have these awesome discussions. But that was the only time I felt like I could do that with a lot of these people, and that's why I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it was never a problem for me. I mean, it was just a recreational thing. But
every conversation, I make you taking drugs.
That's it.
And then so the next topic, we'll do drugs today. Yeah. So how do you feel? I love it.
Love it.
Yeah, but like when it came to drugs, I was always concerned about the impacts, and the potential of things happening, or where it could lead, or not from an addictive point of view, because I didn't feel like I'd be addicted, but it was not knowing. It's like
but I think especially for you because your physical health was such a high importance, whereas I certainly wasn't in a high physically demanding job at any point. But have you heard? I've read on alcohol. I don't know if the actual alcohol. I don't know if it's from Latin or whatever, but something. It's the actual meaning of it has something to do with. I don't know if it's possession or it's something to do. It's something really sinister to it. The direct translation of the word alcohol, where it stems from, and some people have said, and you know how people they black out and stuff like that, and they can't remember anything. I mean, I never got to that point. I never forgot anything. I always remembered what I did, but there's something about alcohol that makes people black out, and they're saying it made them open to possession or something like that. I don't know. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't, but it does open you to some degree. Barriers come down. It's a deceptive sort of road in a sense, because you sort of lets you go down, you might be feeling okay, but then all of a sudden, wham! Like there's a point where you just tip over the edge, and then become aggressive, or you become sad or emotional, or the floodgates come, So
yeah, and it's interesting going from a really happy point, and then it's actually a depressant. So it really brings you up to plummet you down.
It's like it sets you up to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. Just on a side note, I did find that me.
Sorry, go again.
Just on a side note, I did find the meaning of the alcohol.
Okay.
Which in Arabic it means body-eating spirit, and they're also saying it's the original term of ghoul. And they're saying in alcohol is used to extract the soul essence of an entity, hence the extracting of essence for essential oils and stuff. They use alcohol.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, the saying is in effect extracts the very essence of the soul, allowing the body to be more susceptible to neighboring entities, most of which are of low frequencies.
Interesting. Well, apart from the appearance of letting some walls down, it then ultimately
Leaves you open.
shuts. Yeah, and leaves you open to some degree, but also shuts you down.
Yeah.
So because it diminishes awareness, and spirituality is all about awareness.
Well, also it's kind of interesting too, because if you shut down, and people say that I couldn't remember a thing, and very often at those points that when they're acting like not themselves, they're acting like something that they're not normally at all.
Yeah.
Doing things, and then they have no recollections of it or what they've done.
Yep. And then it becomes a way out, or where there's no accountability. It wasn't me, it was the alcohol,
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, because I've been at times, I don't know about you, but I remember in my early 20s, there was times when I was roaring drunk, but at no point did I ever black out or forget anything. I always knew.
Yeah, I went through, not that I drank a lot, but I went through patches where I couldn't remember hardly anything. So I went the opposite way. So, interesting. And I didn't like not knowing. And my friends said, you remember you did? And I'm sure, of course, they made it all up, what I used to do.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking maybe not. I don't know. And that scared me.
Wow. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I never got that ever.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I actually thought, well, I must be making it up, because I had been drunk, and I thought if I was going to black out, that would have been it. But I never did. So I sort of thought, it's a bit of an excuse, I think, for some. But maybe it's not.
Yeah. No.
Especially if they're already, at a low frequency themselves, and that must be much easier to come into that point. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Well, the less aware one is, the more susceptible they are to all sorts of things around them. On being open to things come in potentially, energy feeds off energy, it all bounces off each other in any case. But I feel like with addictions, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, that's something you're drawn into, perpetuates itself, where the underlying essence, there's two things that really impact. It's not being good enough, or trying to escape this realm, or what you're feeling in this realm, so to speak, and shame. And then they're the two things that debilitate someone, because I just feel that shame underlying. So you want to escape ultimately. And people, as I mentioned, just to recap slightly, I might put it again. If you're taking drugs, or if you're, and I'm not an expert, this is just my feeling, what I intuit. Or if whatever you're taking, whatever you're doing, it's an escape from how you're feeling now, and it's about not feeling whole within. And people might go, "Oh no, it's rubbish." Well, if you felt absolutely whole and at peace in this realm, then you wouldn't feel the need to escape to any other place. You'd just be present here. So, but it's not. The entrapment here is you look to escape because you're not necessarily coping emotionally, or whatever's going on within you around your day-to-day life, or you get tempted in certain areas for the potential of something more, and then you might do something, you might feel heightened or successfully escape to some degree from the suffering that you're feeling in your day-to-day life. But then the entrapment here is shame, and I feel that the biggest worry, really, the biggest issue that make people do silly things regarding their lives and all sorts, is shame. You just feel like you're too embarrassed, or you can't come forward, you're going to be judged. And then so you feel this shame, and then that enhances the suffering in this realm. So then you want to escape more. And there's another thing that where it comes to, people might say, oh, this person's a liar, or someone, let's say someone's a drug addict or an addict in whatever way. It's like, I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again, because they feel shame or embarrassment, or they feel like they've demeaned themselves or something, whatever it is. So in that very moment when you're feeling intense shame, you actually believe, I truly feel you believe, I will never do it again. I don't, because you don't want to do it again. You don't want to bring about the turmoil that a particular high or whatever it is may give you, but then all the destruction around you and potentially losing everything. It's like, no. And you may not like who you are. You may not like how you are. So then in the moment you go, yeah, never again, never again. And you might say that to someone, a good friend or a partner or whatever it is. And then a few weeks later, it could be a day later, it could be a month later, or you'll do it again. And then you may be judged by your partner or friend or family and go, oh, you lied, you're a liar, you can't trust them. I don't believe, and this exacerbates or intensifies the shame. I don't truly believe that they're intentionally trying to lie. I believe in that very moment they are convicted of what they're saying. They don't want to do it again, and they're feeling overwhelmed by shame, whatever feelings that they are actually experiencing. Then when the shame or whatever the feeling and things start leveling out a bit, and you're not so, and time passes, then that memory fades to some degree. So then you fall back into the feelings of not being enough, not being whole. The suffering life, suffering mind just takes you again. And then the voice in your head goes, just do it again, just try again. And just come on, you can do it just once. And then boom, you're in again, and it's a vicious cycle. And this is I've said this before, but it's of paramount importance for addictions. It's like that very voice that is trying to entrap you is the very same voice that is judging you. So it's saying, you're not good enough, do this, follow me. And then it's like, oh, you followed me, you're not good enough, or you're this, or shame on you. I think it's important that we begin to ask the question of who is judging who. So ultimately, and who is guiding who. So if we understand that where we don't feel we're enough, or we feel like we're lacking on some level, and that the judge is really judging itself. It's judging the voice, and it's that voice which is judging you is taking advantage of an aspect of yourself that doesn't feel whole. So it is not you. It's like judging a child that doesn't know any better. They can't stop itself from eating the chocolate. It's just craving chocolate, and you don't put chocolate in front of a child. It's cruel, and say don't eat it.
Yeah.
You just don't do it. So if you don't have the capacity to work through something, it's not about condemning the person. It comes down to how much they're suffering. It comes down to their lifestyle, what they've gone through, their understanding. So there's so many things at play here. I feel that the shame aspect, don't ever fall into the shame. If the only reason that anyone is falling into like addictions, long-term addictions, is obviously there's a chemical reaction. There's addictive substances for sure, but it's taken advantage of people's weakness. And I think if you understand that there's nothing to be ashamed of, it's just a matter of you don't feel worthy on some level, you don't feel whole. And if it's really hard, like I don't understand where you can't just go, I don't agree with people just saying, just stop it, just don't do it, just take that part out of your life. And it's like, well, you need to ultimately replace it with something healthier.
Yeah.
And slowly pull. You can't just stop something because there's a reason that everyone is doing what they're doing. There's a reason for it. And no one wants to harm themselves. No one wants to really be addicted to things. Ultimately, there's a void within that they're trying to fill. So I just feel if you fall victim to certain circumstances or certain habits, nurture yourself along the way. So in between, it's really hard. Like I like to say, yep, stop it, fully just bang, stop it. And well, it's very, very hard road to take, that is, going cold turkey. And you not saying people can't. People can obviously do that. but then they've got to find something, a healthy replacement, whether it is church or whatever it is, or whether it's spirituality, whether it's meditation. But sometimes there needs to be a transition where, if you fall in here and there, just try and minimize it and try and slowly pull yourself out. So in the end, you don't cross that boundary. But in the meantime, don't just do nothing. Self-sabotaging is huge, and even in relationships.
I was just going to say, with the connection, I think a lot of people often realize that, they've heard from other addicts, such as, what's his name, Russell Brand. A lot of people listen to him because he's been through it and he's quite public about his recovery and addiction and so forth. Connection, when you refer to connection, would you say that it would help to connect with someone else that cares about you first, perhaps, if you don't know how to connect with yourself?
Yeah, I think that's important, but it's a tough one, because if you don't feel like you're enough, and you see what can enhance shame. I'm not saying don't seek that connection. Like you want to connect with someone that doesn't judge you, that will love you and help you no matter what. But there's also a fear potentially where if they let someone down that they love, then that enhances the shame. So it's great to have a connection with a friend or family member or someone that will not judge you no matter how shameful you feel. So definitely support is everything, because that's another form of connection. And it all comes down to connection within, and external connections can enhance the connection within as well. Any true connections will, definitely. But I think even in relationships, and people may be addicted to being in a relationship, but they don't fully commit to one. So then they're half in, half out, and that's a form of self-sabotaging, where instead of experiencing the absolute highs, it's like, well, I won't fully allow myself to open to this person in case I get really hurt. So then they self-sabotage along the way to just keep enough connection to stay together, but not they don't deepen enough to really truly enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And I feel the trap in this is one might enter into a relationship that it may be someone that's in another relationship, so it keeps them at a distance.
The other thing I was wondering, just wondering your perspective on, because there's many family members and close loved ones to someone that is addicted, and they're seeing their loved one on a destructive path. What would you advise a family member that wants to help someone that's obviously struggling with addiction? What advice would you give to someone that wants to help?
Okay. Well, firstly, seek professional help if you feel. I'm not a professional, of course, but I've, in my experience, and that's obviously what we speak from is experience, nurturing is the key. And I feel if you nurture rather than judge, and nurturing may also be helping and encouraging, and but I feel that is the way forward, where if you understand the perspective rather than saying, I don't want to hear it, just don't do it. You're better off trying to understand, how you're feeling, what's going on, and being soft rather than judgmental. And then it's like you're taking them by the hand, you reach out. And they'll only reach for your hand if they're not going to be judged. You're not going to sort of grab their hand and try and crush it to stop them from doing what they're doing. So you have to be sensitive. And this is the leading to the next part I was thinking about, was in any relationship, it's about meeting halfway and not having a full expectation of the other. It's about entering into a relationship where you're both contributing, you're both offering something. So even if you're helping someone that's like a family member that's addicted to certain things, they offer something, you offer something in return besides judgment.
Mm-hmm.
It's support. So it's like you're just encouraging and you're assisting where you can, and you're helping to generate connection and better feelings. So they're not so drawn into shame and just thinking, screw everyone, I'll just go and do this, who cares? Mm-hmm. And I feel in a relationship, so if you're not feeling worthwhile or worthy and you enter into a relationship, then you're going to potentially offer more than halfway. Like you're going to enter a relationship that you might give out more than what you're getting, in a sense. And it's all about value, trying to value yourself and discover and understand your worth. In a relationship, try and see through the honeymoon phase, see what they're offering. Make sure you're not doing all the work. Try and, as best you can, look at what they're offering. And if they're not offering much, you might don't try and change something. You're not seeing me. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you contributing? If you're in that sort of relationship, you're not seeing yourself. And because I wouldn't enter into a relationship where I'm doing all the work, like from the start. And I'll be, instead of me thinking or saying to another person, I'm happily single, by the way, very happily single. But if I was in a relationship, I wouldn't be saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. I'll be thinking, well, you're not really committed. You're not really seeing me. You're just wrapped up in your own stuff.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be demanding that they change. I'd be sitting back and seeing what or how in touch they are with themselves. And if they're in touch with themselves, they'll know what other people need and they'll find the balance, because it's all about everyone's balance within themselves. And obviously the addictions shows that's an indication that the balance is way off, and that you can swing from feeling good potentially to feeling really bad. I feel in any relationship, value yourself and then don't force anyone to change. Just see if they can recognize you. If they can't recognize you, if you're constantly being in tumultuous relationships, then look at what you're putting in, what you're getting out, in a sense. And if you're doing way too much and they don't have to offer anything, then you're self-sacrificing yourself. You're not going to really connect in that relationship. So you've got to look at the people that you're drawn to, in a sense. So yeah, with addictions, and I just feel that nurturing is everything, and non-judging, and an offering and a softness. And people are going to swing in and out while they're trying to change their habits anyway. But it's like with spiritual practice. Even without addictions, there's challenges anyway. I feel instead of doing no things that benefit you or that get you in touch with how you're feeling, and you've got to do something, even slowly. And I feel people that become addicted in certain areas, there's so much, either there's numbness or there's so much turmoil within the emotional body that they're afraid to look inward. So slowly, and I think through a friend is a great way to try and connect anyway. But if there's another friend that has addictions, then you pull each other in. So it can be a tough one too. So I just think that the number one thing is to have a practice, do something, even if you just go and spend time in nature, and not go to nature, oh, this is amazing, then do something stupid or do some addictive practices. Spend times where you can get in touch with how you feel. I still feel one should write down what's going on within their mind, because without identifying what the thoughts are and what the feelings are, it's just all congested. And it's like in a milkshake or a massive meal. You have to identify every ingredient and see how valid they are, and see if they're even needed, see if they're necessary. And if you just look at the whole conglomerate of the mixture that's in front of you, you get lost in it. There's all these flavors, some you like, some you don't. It's about identifying what you do like, what you don't like, and identifying the ones that, well, if I take this substance, this is where it leads. So then you think, okay, well, what can I take that doesn't lead me to that I enjoy the taste of, so to speak? And there's a transitioning here where, I've mentioned before, my understanding with the psyche is that when you create another, or in creating another neural pathway, you don't necessarily feel the connection along that path for a period. So there may expect that when you're trying to overcome certain habits, there may well be a period of numbness. So you get in touch with nature, you connect with friends, loved ones, and you do these things to help you transition ultimately. But if you fall, because no one wants to do harmful things for themselves, ultimately, I don't believe anyone does. So you have to be patient, and you have to slowly transform the process from something negative to something positive. You do it as quick as you can, but you've got to build a strong foundation. So it's very hard, not impossible, just to go, no, I'm not doing it anymore, I'm stopping.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, to just cut things off cold turkey and have nothing to replace it. And I'm not saying another negative thing, but replace anything negative with something positive. Just it's about trying to find, and I know it can be really hard, and some people might think, well, you're not really understanding because it's complete darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And, seek professional help. Go where it's, look for answers. The bottom line is you must look for answers, and I don't have all the answers,
Yep.
I can speak from my experience and what I've seen, what I've observed. I'm getting older, so I've seen things. I've seen people that have addiction issues, and so it's just purely from experience. I said I don't know all the answers, but I know what it's like to struggle, and I just think to ignore certain habits that aren't healthy doesn't mean they're going to go away. You have to, that void within, ultimately, or that feeling of not being whole, that has to be discovered and understood. You have to work on being whole, on feeling like you're enough. And even with relationships, if there's a pattern in relationships where you keep going out with people that take advantage of you, then you're not seeing how you truly are. And you're trying too hard. You're trying to convince another through doing things for them, doing too much. Potentially, this is just potential here. You're potentially allowing others to take advantage. And you're hoping in some ways they can come down to you not respecting and valuing who you are. And if you don't, the person you're with is not going to either. So it's like, I'm doing all these things. Why don't you value me? And a lot of this stuff is subconscious. So it's like you're doing way more than you should. So you don't value yourself. And people won't say that, but that's sort of what's in the psyche often,
Yeah.
It's about earning respect. And a lot of this is respect to people that we don't necessarily get along with. But if they stand strong in themselves, but they're respectful and they have a sense of integrity, I tend to get along with those people anyway, like a lot of us do. But if we're pretending and we're not really sitting where we should in ourselves, then these people will be confronting. In that, you will respect them and like them on some level, even if one may be jealous of their qualities and you might not like them, but you'll still respect them. So it all comes down to discovering your worth, and everyone has something to offer if they get in touch with it, if they seek understanding. And I keep saying pretty much every chat, seek understanding first. That understanding is the understanding within oneself. It's the inner understanding.
Yeah.
And like I've been saying, you must identify the ingredients, your makeup. You must identify the things that don't serve you and unravel. Go where you need to, whether it's a professional or whatever it is, go where you need to help, to find someone to help unravel the things that don't serve you. There's plenty of people that know the ideas and concepts of these things I'm speaking about. I tend to speak from some qualifications and some things, diploma in hypnosis, as I've mentioned. Studied some theories of psychology, but I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I purely speak from life's experiences and understandings through challenges in my lifetime. And to me, this is common sense, uncommon sense. So definitely there's someone around you that has some answers, and connect with those people. And self-inquiry is really about unraveling and discovering how amazing everyone is, or you are, and the person listening in, how whole you can be. Because I truly believe that everyone comes to this earth, this realm, fully equipped with everything they need within. And then the trap is people disconnect from their wholeness, and this is through conditioning and all sorts of things. So, and lack of awareness of those around them. So there's nothing you need to add to yourself, in my belief. And maybe it's like my head's up in the sky. Some people think we're off the planet. Maybe it is, but it's a nice thing to believe. And I feel like I felt lacking in the past, and I felt different things. And And as you let go and unravel the understanding, you find pieces of yourself. You find that there was hidden parts of yourself that you didn't know were there. There was strength that you didn't even know you had. And I'm all for people discovering the potential of these things because their life will change. In my experience, that's just. And if someone says no, it won't. How do you know? Well, try it and see. Why would you just go, nah, it won't work? Like,
what have we got to
what other
lose?
choice? Yeah, exactly. What other choice do you have? So just everything that we talk about is for contemplation to something more. And if it doesn't work for you, then what to do? But obviously people listening in are looking for something more anyway, of course. So if you want to stay where you are, there's no stagnation here, just possibilities.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening in to Addictions and Entrapments. We're keen to hear any feedback or any hurdles you've experienced or anything you'd like to share. Thanks for listening in.